as we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch. Yeah. You understand?
Right.
And we here together.
I think we passed kneeling.
Let me play it again. But this time, look at the reaction of the lady sat just behind him. The reason why she's worried about how Jay would respond is because she's the CEO of Rock Nation. But in her former life, she was a federal informant.
Jim Jones, man.
Hip hop, of course, you know, is a competitive sport. But on the other end of it, it's like certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they've done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list. Maybe not even his family. I was saying last night, it's like the 8th guy on the bench just screaming at Jordan, like, you a bum. Like, you want to be like the 9th guy on the bench. I'm not even worried about you. Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list. Maybe not even his family.
Maybe niggas are scared to hustle because niggas are snitching so much. Maybe that's what's going on. I would be scared to hustle too when I know that every other nigga is snitching just so he don't want to do no time because he's can't bear to be inside the jail system.
An old audio clip just dropped where Jay-Z's out here calling Jim Jones a straight-up snitch. But let's keep it real. Jay's top lieutenant at Rock Nation is already a confirmed federal informant. So why is he picking this moment to drag Jim through the mud? And why target Jim now? Everybody's been talking about how Jim stirred up a mess by popping off about Nas.
Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine pleaded guilty to federal charges, admitting he participated in a violent gang. He also pledged to cooperate with prosecutors. The rapper, whose legal name is Daniel Hernandez, said he joined the 9 Trey Blood Gang in the fall of 2017. He says he helped them try to kill a rival gang member last March. Prosecutors say the gang carried out acts of murder, robbery, and narcotics trafficking in Manhattan, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. The indictment also said each gang member was required to participate in at least 2 acts of racketeering conspiracy, which could include murder, robbery, extortion, or drug distribution. The plea deal could allow Hernandez leniency at sentencing. He was facing a mandatory 47-year prison sentence.
That's when all the skeletons came tumbling out the closet. Old paperwork, wild receipts, and rumors that Jim had a cozy little relationship with the feds back in the day. But here's where it gets shady. If Jay-Z's so anti-snitch, why is his right-hand woman rocking that informant label with no shame? Folks are scratching their heads wondering how Jay can call out Jim for snitching when his own crew got ties to the same game. And it doesn't stop there. Jay even handed Jim a Rock Nation deal.
If anybody getting fancy checks, it should be us.
So what's really going on behind closed doors? Now let's talk about that leaked audio that lit this fire up. In the clip, Jay sounded fed up. He went off saying Jim's nothing but a fake rapper who can't even sit at the grown folks table. Jay said Jim never counted as a real peer because his role in this industry ain't even about music. It's something else. This is about to get uglier than anyone expected. Does this mean Jay knew some slick info about Jim before everybody else caught wind of it? And if Jay was really hinting that Jim's a fake rapper and possibly an informant, why would he still pull Jim into Rock Nation like it's all love? Let's break down these rumors that keep haunting Jim's name. Folks been whispering that Jim is a Fed snitch for a hot minute, but you know, 50 Cent wasn't gonna let the world forget it.
He definitely humiliating Shawty right now.
Well, you got the picture up there next to the post. You know, like when you go to YouTube and World Star, they got his picture next to this. Everything he say, they got a split screen with Shawty picture next to this. I said, this is crazy, son. But he doing that to make K9 think he don't got no relationship with Boy. That's what he trying to do. He trying to live. He trying to separate himself.
That's cool, but now he gotta get violated.
Yeah, super violated. Super duper. So ain't too much he can really do unless he gonna run around with 100 armed securities all day. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get shot at penny.
He ain't getting enough money for that.
That's a fact. And he just canceled all his shows.
And he ain't a gang member no more.
Nah, he ain't nothing.
That's what Nick. That's what Shotty needs to make sure he do.
Nah, we
Tell that nigga he's not a gang member no more. He kicked out the whip. He was never a gang member. Shotty need to expose him.
50 threw gasoline on the drama when he posted up a savage pic on Instagram showing Jim chilling next to Jay-Z, Diddy, Fat Joe, and a few more big names. In the caption, 50 clowned him hard, writing, "LOL Individual 1, calling the shots out here. I know you working, so please don't say gangster-ish to me, Individual 1. Wild, right? If you're scratching your head wondering what the heck that was about, it all links back to those old suspicions that Jim was cozy with the feds during Tekashi 6899's crazy racketeering case. Here's how it went down. While Tekashi was up on that stand snitching on the 9 Trey Bloods, a wiretap phone call came out that shook the internet. In that call, Jim was straight up heard saying Tekashi wasn't a gang member anymore and needed to get violated. That right there set off alarms for everybody watching. And of course, 50 Cent wasn't about to let that moment slide. He blasted the entire transcript of that call all over social media so the world could read every messy detail. Y'all remember back in 2018 when Tekashi got slammed with federal racketeering and gun charges along with a bunch of 9 Trey members? That crew was no joke, a violent squad tied deep to the Bloods. The feds had been creeping on 9 Trey for a long time, stacking evidence until they finally swooped in. And when Tekashi got locked up, he flipped fast. He started singing to the feds to cut himself a deal. So in September 2019, Tekashi kicked off his big courtroom snitch fest, airing out every dirty secret he could remember. He hopped up on that stand and dropped names like Anthony Harv Ellison, Aljermiah Nuke Mack, and a whole list of other 9 Trey hitters.
Did a little something for you in the studio. Then he had something to Old Boy.
This is Old Boy's already #1?
Yeah, it's popping.
This, all right.
I listened to it and I was like, erase that shit.
Tekashi basically handed the feds the entire playbook. Who did what, when they did it, and all the dirt the crew was moving. He didn't hold back, not for a second. But here's where Jim Jones slid into the picture and got everybody buzzing. See, Jim's name came up in a wiretap that got played loud and clear during the trial. In one of those calls, Jim was allegedly chopping it up with Jamel Mel Murda Jones, who was a top dog in 9 Trey. During that conversation, it sounded like they were brainstorming how to deal with Tekashi after he put the gang on blast and said he was out. And Jim's voice came through like he was hinting at some serious retaliation, something about making sure Tekashi paid for switching up. That audio turned a whole lot of heads, not just because it tied Jim straight to 9 Trey leadership, but because it made people ask the real question. How did Jim end up caught on a Fed wiretap talking about gang moves, but still walk away clean?
First of all, let's get right to it. There seems to be some drama. You and The Rock, Jay-Z, you try to diss. You did diss him.
I just nobody.
You dissed him.
I just Michael Jordan.
Oh man, we just there's no drama, man. No, we're gonna get to that. Shout out to Dame Dash, who started Rockefeller Records. If y'all don't know, he's responsible for Rockefeller getting off the floor. That started in Harlem. You know what I'm talking about?
After the trial wrapped, everybody was side-eyeing the situation like, hold up, how does Jim get recorded plotting what sounds like payback and still be the only 9 Trey affiliate who didn't catch an indictment? It had folks convinced there was more going on behind the scenes than anybody was saying. All this mess sparked serious talk that Jim was probably working with the feds, or at least cozy enough with them to slide right past the heat without catching charges. And nobody was louder about that claim than Wack 100. He straight up called Jim a federal informant, saying the only reason Jim didn't end up in cuffs was because he was out here playing ball with law enforcement. Wack wasn't just talking slick online either. He doubled down on Clubhouse, in interviews, and even when he chopped it up with Tekashi. He went so far as to dare Jim to step up, clear his name, and show some real receipts proving he wasn't working with the feds. But it didn't stop with Wack stirring the pot. Former Dipset member Jaja jumped in and poured more gas on this fire. She claimed she had receipts proving Jim set up his own boy, Mel Murda. That was the point when the whole internet started picking sides. Was Jim moving dirty, or was it all just smoke and no flame? Now that you know exactly where all this Jim Jones snitch talk came from, let's circle back to Jay-Z. Because to figure out why Jay might have lined Jim up for this public takedown, you gotta look at how far back their beef really goes. Jay and Jim been clashing for over a decade. This drama ain't fresh, it's old beef reheated. It all kicked off way back in the early 2000s, in 2002, when Dame Dash brought Cam'ron and Jim into Rockefeller. That's where the tension started boiling. Jim claimed that Cam was promised a shiny new vice president role at the label, but Jay never stood up to confirm it. Jay told the source back then, that's not taking effect as of yet.
Alright. Remember when Jay-Z said this?
I think we passed kneeling.
Let me play it again. This time, look at the reaction of the lady sat just behind him. The reason why she's worried about how Jay would respond is because she's the CEO of Rock Nation. But in her former life, she was a federal informant. In 1994, Desiree Perez was arrested for bringing in 35 keys of Griselda Blanco to Miami. Under pressure, she agreed to wear a wire for the DEA. Quick side note, Desiree Perez is the name Dame Dash refused to say in this Breakfast Club interview.
Once a has certain friends, we don't even talk about them no more where I'm from.
Now, around that same time, Jay-Z and Perez spearheaded Rock Nation's prison reform initiative with Meek Mill. I guess their hard work paid off, because on the 19th of January 2021, this list was released. Desiree Perez's criminal past had just been wiped clean.
I think the talk is a little premature as of right now. You could feel the shade from a mile away. All this chaos was popping off around the same time Jay was trading shots with Nas too. So Jay thought he'd get slick. He jumped on a remix of Cam'ron and Joel Santana's smash hit Oh Boy and used it as a chance to fire more shots at Nas. But Cam and Jim weren't having it at all. They flat out refused to drop that remix, and Cam even chopped Jay's verse clean off the record.
Now it looks like another former rival will be relying on Hov's team to steer his career, as Dip says Jim Jones is allegedly heading over to Rock Nation. Capo posted a picture of bottles of Douce and Ace of Spades next to a Rock Nation letterhead on IG and told fans to catch.
Later, Cam spoke up and said he wasn't about to let Jay hijack their song just to fight his own battles with Nas. That right there set the tone. Cam and Jim felt Jay didn't respect them or their movement one bit. That's when the sneak disses really started flying. Jim came for Jay in every interview and radio spot he could find, calling him corporate, saying he was out of touch with the streets, and straight up calling him soft. Jim made sure everybody knew he was all about staying solid, keeping it real, and never switching up, unlike some other rappers. He even started throwing jabs at artists who turned into snitches, talking big about how he'd never fold under pressure. At first, Jay tried to keep it classy and stayed quiet, not responding to all the shots Jim kept firing off. But anybody paying attention could feel the tension bubbling inside Rockefeller. It was only a matter of time before things blew up. Then, in 2006, Jim dropped We Fly High, and that track was a straight monster hit. Everybody was blasting it. That's when Jay finally clapped back with Brooklyn High, making it crystal clear he wasn't going to let Jim talk reckless without saying something. But the war wasn't over. Jim wasn't about to let Jay slide that easy. He clapped back hard with another remix called the We Fly High Beef Mix. In that track, he went straight for Jay's neck, clowning him about his age, calling him an old head, and firing off lines like, "I told you, warning, you're old AE. Better chill, slow down before your old AE gets killed." It got real spicy after that. Fast forward to 2008, and the beef spilled right into real life. Security cameras inside a Louis Vuitton store caught Jim putting hands on a dude. And that dude turned out to be none other than Jay-Z's longtime A&R, Lenny Santiago. Jim got arrested for that mess and later pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault. It was all over the blogs and everybody was talking. Jay stayed quiet at first and didn't say much about Jim catching a case over his people. But a few months later, he finally let some shade fly in an extra large interview. Jay started dragging Jim's music, saying songs like "Nah, nah, 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 nah" were exactly what was pulling the culture down. Jay said, "I mean, like Jim Jones, for example, and I don't mean this because we never see eye to eye, but he made na 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 na. What's the difference between that Smiley Face by Trey Songz and Soulja Boy?" He kept going, clowning the song even more, saying, "Na na 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 could have been called Smiley Face." That shot stung because Jay basically called Jim's music childish and corny in front of the whole world. After that, the beef went quiet for a minute. Nobody heard much about it. But in 2015, Dipset decided to light the fire all over again. Cam and Jim dropped a freestyle over Diddy's classic Victory beat, and they made sure to throw fresh shots at Jay and Rock Nation. They mocked Jay for hosting that Rock Nation brunch, clowning him for being too corporate and acting like he was above everybody else. But just when folks thought it was all predictable, things took a wild turn that nobody saw coming. Then, out of nowhere, Jim did a full flip and started begging Jay to bring him on board.
Head of Rock Nation, JayZExposed.
Good evening, everyone.
I say shout out to Desi. Shout out to Desi. She got me out the contract.
Rock Nation.
Yeah, shout out to Desiree.
Okay. You know about this?
Nah.
JayZExposed became a cooperating witness for the DEA in the 1990s. She got arrested in 1994 for possession of 35 kilos of cocaine.
JayZExposed and the whole wicked system of Rock Nation, including you, Jay-Z.
Yes.
You who say you rose from the gutter.
Fast forward to February 2017. After 13 long years of non-stop beef, Jim finally signed that Rock Nation deal and officially joined Jay's camp. And trust, Jim didn't keep it low-key at all. He was bragging everywhere about getting that golden invite to Jay's fancy Rock Nation brunch, the same event he used to clown Heavy. Suddenly, Jim was out here praising Jay in every interview, doing everything he could to show he was loyal now. But even with all that love bombing, Jay stayed silent. He barely even acknowledged Jim's new deal. You could tell Jay wanted to keep things strictly business and didn't want folks thinking they were tight like that. Here's where it gets real interesting though. Some people say Jay offering Jim a deal wasn't no real truce. It was a power move, a straight-up chess play to make sure Jim was under his thumb. Because if you know Jay-Z's history, he's got a pattern. He absorbs his rivals instead of just beefing forever. Look at the track record. The Low-X, Fat Joe, J. Cole, Meek Mill, they all had problems with Jay at some point, but somehow ended up signing deals with Rock Nation. That's how Jay stays winning. He turns enemies into business partners, but still keeps them at arm's length.
They're hustling like they need to, you dig? And they ain't keeping it funky like they used to. So I don't understand. Maybe scared to hustle because snitches so much. Maybe that's what's going on. I would be scared to hustle too when I know that every other snitching just so he don't want to do no time because he can't bear to be inside the jail system. Now the to say not nothing to brag about when I was coming up. Kind of happy to go to jail to say they did something tough, even though I never been behind the walls myself. But my I be around, there used to be a bragging point. Like I just came on it. That was when we was young. Nowadays, you punks are scared to go in and do the damn.
And when it comes to Jim, Jay never got too close after that contract was signed. So you gotta wonder, was Jay just protecting his image and keeping a safe distance because of all that Tekashi drama and those messy snitching rumors hanging over Jim's head? Well, here's where it gets real tricky. Jay's whole "I don't mess with snitches" vibe might just be a big act to keep the public fooled. Because guess what? His right-hand woman, the president of Rock Nation, JayZExposed, is a documented informant. So if Jay has no problem cutting deals with known informants, why would he suddenly ghost Jim Jones over a bunch of snitching rumors? That's when people started talking. What if Jay-Z was really playing both sides this whole time? Maybe it's never been about loyalty. It's always been about power and control. Because let's be honest, Jay didn't need Jim for anything, but Jim definitely needed Jay to stay relevant. And when Jim's name popped up on those wiretaps, Jay did exactly what he always does. He moved smart to protect the Rock Nation brand at all costs. So maybe Jay wasn't even mad that Jim might have been snitching. Maybe he was mad that Jim wasn't his snitch. And that right there raises a whole bunch of questions about what kind of company Rock Nation really is behind the scenes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this story if you're here for the real tea. And I'll see you on the next one.